I'm sure you've been there before. If you've ever searched someone's name and they come up with a knowledge panel, and suddenly you realize this person knows their stuff. This is a true figurehead, thought leader. How can I get one of those? Now, there's always this assumption that anyone with a knowledge panel is a bit more of a celebrity. So it's the ultimate hack for actually building your personal brand. Anyone can get a knowledge panel, but from a viewer's perspective, there's a lot of authority and trust associated. If someone comes up with a knowledge panel, then they're a true personal brand. However, Google is just a machine, like I always say, and because of that, there's always a way to get around and manipulate these things. So you can actually trigger your own Google Knowledge Panel and inherit that immense personal branding benefit for anyone who actually searches your name. So I have done this myself. If you search Stuart Vickers, it comes up saying I am an entrepreneur. It's got a link to my personal brand website. Stuart Vickers is an international SEO speaker and leading expert in search engine optimization for SEO high-ticket coaches. The irony being, there's a grammatical error in there, but it's still triggered. And it's got a few of my social profiles on there. And over time, I'm working on getting more social profiles in there. And eventually, I'd like to get the full knowledge panel that is quite new, get the images along the top now as well. But this is already a great step and has definitely enhanced my brand, both in front of existing clients, prospective clients, and just generally within my communities. So how do you actually get a Google Knowledge Panel? Now, the truth is anyone can get the Google Knowledge Panel because you've just got to take the right steps. Like everything with SEO, it's just a process. And so all you need to do is take the right steps, implement them effectively, and you too can get a knowledge panel. I did not put a big effort into actually getting my knowledge panel. I simply knew that a lot of the exercises I was doing to build my brand anyway meant I was naturally going to tick off a lot of the requirements, but it was never a hard goal that I had to strive for. It was much more of a nice to have. But even so, it did eventually come to a point, like everything with SEO, it does take a few months to kick in. But there came a point where, at least on my mobile, I was getting a little knowledge panel coming up. And then soon enough, that came up with desktop as well. What's more is if I actually do a Google search, then it comes up with a very nice preview here. So I really like that as well. So what are the benefits of this for your brand? If you're doing any sort of advertising, paid advertising, cold email, and the immediate question is, who is this person? Especially in the coaching space and online marketing world, there's loads of people where to you, they might kind of seem like a celebrity. If you've been on their email list a while, you'll always have this sort of perceived reputation that they've built with you over those years. In reality, it might have been a free ebook you downloaded 3 years ago, but to you, they could be a person of note. And you've got no idea if their audience is thousands or a couple of hundred. So when you hear about these people, you go away and Google them. So if they come up with something like this, then you know that they've done some work and they are a person of note. So that's literally the definition of a knowledge panel. Are they a person of note? So enough talk. How do we actually do it? So I recommend starting off with just your personal brand, basically. I'm lucky enough to have stuartvickers.com. And the key thing about knowledge panel is basically consistency. So I use a lot of the same terminology throughout all my different profiles. So think of it kind of like a CV. Remember, Google is always working with entities. It can't really understand language. But we talk about NLP-friendly text, where basically, to me, I talk about my University College London, various job posts, locations, things like that. These are like known entities that Google can tie together. And that point about consistency, basically the whole point of the knowledge panel is making sure this person is verified, basically. So because of that, Google needs to see the same person reflected across. If you've got more of a generic name, obviously I'm quite fortunate with Stuart Vickers, but if you've got a bit more of a universal name that other people might have, then it's more of a challenge. You need to make sure every profile really well represents you. So same university, same job title, things like that. All that consistent data that Google can mirror across everything. So the most important thing with triggering a knowledge panel is getting authoritative links on certain websites. Now, SEO is all about authority links. That's why I run a link building agency where we basically conduct loads of outreach and PR to secure really good quality backlinks that do make a really big impact on our clients. Plenty of case studies available on that. But when it comes to the knowledge panel, it's not like you can just build loads of links from all sorts of different websites. You need a few specific links from sites that have a certain trust with Google when it comes to the knowledge panel. So one of them is actually Crunchbase. Now, the great thing about Crunchbase is it looks really good and impressive, but actually anyone can go in and give themselves a Crunchbase profile. So if I just move Loom out of the way, we have the same again here, where, again, I've basically taken a standard text of my CV, and basically I just use ChatGPT. So I give it a block of text, and I might say, can you rewrite this in a NLP-friendly format? So I've got my degree, History of Art at University College London. So it's all consistent. I say I've got these known, how can I put, almost like footholds. So international SEO speaker, that's on every one of my profiles. Expert in search engine optimization, high ticket coaches, then it's a load of fluff. History of Art at University College London. And this one doesn't actually have it, I think, but also my book, and we'll come on to that later. But any really clear wins you've had, successes that are notable, make sure those are in the CV as well, because you want these footholds throughout your sort of digital footprint. That's the key thing we're doing here, building your digital footprint on respected websites. So Crunchbase is one of them, and quite a powerful one. It also looks great because, same thing, personal branding, research Stuart Vickers, Crunchbase ranks really, really well. I'm even trying to do what's called parasite SEO, where Crunchbase is a DR90 site, which means if I were trying to rank my name for a certain keyword, in my case, SEO speaker and SEO for coaches, then you can actually optimize your description on Crunchbase so that you get the benefit of that powerful website. That's what I did with Outlook India. If you search SEO for coaches, then I have an article on SEO for coaches on page 1, and it's Outlook India. That's because it's a DR88 site. So while I am trying to rank my own websites for that, that's going to take time to build up. Whereas if you can find a trusted, respected news site like Outlook India, DR88, I publish an optimized guest post basically, and that then ranks instantly. So you can do the same thing with the social profiles like Crunchbase. Next, I would always recommend publishing an ebook. So an Amazon author link is probably one of the most powerful links you can get for triggering a knowledge panel. But it's also really easy to get. Again, great for personal branding, looks really good. But in reality, you can actually, there's a helicopter coming past, I'm just going to pause the video. Right, helicopter's gone. On that note, buy my book. I talk about how I quit my day job, went to a great mastermind in Colombia, where we were whitewater rafting with 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs in the Colombian rainforest, and then we got helicopters out of it. So absolutely life-changing experience. I am going to do a video on how I got to 6 figures within 6 months, so subscribe below to get that. But those masterminds were a key part of that. Now I can explain that in more detail. So getting back to the Amazon author link, same thing. I've just taken that same bio again, and I basically asked ChatGPT just to rewrite it, but again using an NLP-friendly format. So Stuart Vickers is an international SEO speaker, leading expert in search engine optimization for high-ticket coaches. You get the idea. I don't think History of Art at University College London, all those key details. So publishing a book on Amazon, really not that difficult. So I don't think there's even a minimum requirement for Kindle, especially as you can publish things like low content books and journals. So get onto ChatGPT, write your story. It's not going to take you long, unless you want to take pride in it. It took me. So I was at Mastermind in Miami in November, where I was motivated to write my book. I started writing it on the plane back home to London that night. So I did 5,000 words on that flight. And to be honest, most of the book was actually written on planes going around the world. Affiliate World in Dubai, did a lot on that flight. But you absolutely could just write it in an afternoon if you wanted to, because you just want the author link. I do have a process for how you get the best-selling status, like I did. So again, I'll do a video on that. But fundamentally, you just want your book to be bought by a large number of people within a short space of time, within a certain category. But the bestseller status does not relate to the knowledge panel. All I'm saying is, if you're going to the effort of writing a book, and you do take a few weeks crafting something you're actually proud of, then you might as well make sure it's a bestseller. That's not, again, it's just a process. So I'll do a video on that at some point. So Amazon Author Link, very easy to do. So upload your book to Kindle. I have literally seen so-called best-selling authors where their book is basically a blog post. It's maybe half a centimeter thick, and then you open it up, and it's got these big margins all the way around the pages. It's like looking at a medieval illuminated manuscript with the little square of text in the center. So it seems like everyone's a best-selling author these days. So I do recommend it as a personal brand building exercise. But yeah, do take a little bit of pride in it. These days, it's so easy with ChatGPT or whatever your chosen AI is. So you might as well take a week and actually do something you're proud of. If I were going to do it again, I would probably actually dictate it, maybe get someone to interview me, and then just get a VA to basically go into ChatGPT and say, based on this transcript, you can use chat with PDF. I've got a video on that, where basically you connect ChatGPT to a PDF and it can read it. So get ChatGPT to read the transcript of the interview and then prompt it saying, I am wanting to write my personal storybook based on this interview. Give me the outline, give me something that's impactful, inspiring, etc. There'll be frameworks out there. And then get ChatGPT say, right, you give me the framework, now let's start writing it using excerpts from the transcript. Anyway, enough about how to write a book. All we want here is the Amazon Author Link. So that's simple enough. Upload it to KDP and you're basically done. So we have Crunchbase, Amazon. There is a slight extra step here, which I'll come on to later. This was enough for me. This was basically all the authority links I really needed. But I already had a bit of standing in the community, had a bit of PR, this sort of thing. So the other step is actually, which I didn't have to go to, but it's an extra bit of power, is actually an IMDb link. Now you're going to be thinking, how on earth can I get an IMDb link? We will come on to that later. So after those links, the most important thing with getting a Google Knowledge Panel is Wikidata. Wikidata is basically the underlying fuel for Wikipedia, but it's not the same as Wikipedia. If you create your own Wikipedia page today, it's very likely it's going to get taken down within a week. Wikidata, on the other hand, it's basically it's one of the major sources for the Google Knowledge Graph, which is basically how Google understands data and therefore what triggers the Google Knowledge Panel and how it informs the Google Knowledge Panel. So it's just a very simple profile, and anyone can create one. But I don't recommend you just create it yourself. Across the internet, there are people out there with aged Wikidata accounts where they've been creating accounts, doing edits, things like that for years. So they're not going to flag any spam triggers, anything like that. So there's certainly ways about it, but I definitely recommend you get an aged account for Wikidata. So once I found my guy who's got the aged account, I basically just gave him all these different snippets. So description, entrepreneur with multiple online businesses and author of the Power Lever method. Then it's got things like, again, country, location. Now, occupation is quite important here. If you're a Facebook ads expert, one way or another, Google Knowledge Panels don't seem to go to marketers because obviously marketers spoil everything. So why would you get a Knowledge Panel? If you look at major marketing industry leaders, most of them trigger coming up as things like entrepreneurs, investors. So what's a good example here? Famous marketer, Dan Kennedy. Is he going to come up as a copywriter? We shall see. Author. There we go. So Dan Kennedy, one of the greatest marketers in the world, and yet he comes up as an author on his knowledge panel. So when it comes to occupation, do not put anything related to marketing. Go with author, artist, entrepreneur, investor, something that's broader, but also detached from marketing, basically, more respectable. Then described at URL. So this is basically, we've got the Amazon author link here. I was lucky enough to get in Getty Images. That's just because I was on a Jesus-themed pub crawl a few years ago. So I threw that in there anyway. Where's Wikidata gone? I was also interviewed by odys.global, one of the major expired domain resellers. But basically, any PR you've done, whether it's podcasts, interviews, anything like that, that should go in here. Now, if you haven't done much of this yet, then that's probably going to be your biggest challenge. Obviously, it's not that hard to do in the grand scheme of things. It just takes some time. It's not like just knocking out a Crunchbase profile and a quick ebook so you get an Amazon author link. This bit might take a bit more time. But I know most of the coaches I work with, they've already got plenty of PR. They're in Forbes, Entrepreneur.com, all of those. So just throw those in here. Most of the clients I work with are all perfectly capable of getting a knowledge panel already. They just need to tie that data together correctly. First of all, using Wikidata, and then the next step we'll come on to shortly. So we have the Crunchbase ID, all your social medias. So that's pretty much it. So there's nothing really in here that you can't get today, right now. So Amazon author link and Crunchbase, that's pretty much done. Then, like I say, Knowledge Panel is all about bringing together all this data, making it consistent, and linking it all together. So you can see Wikidata is already linking together all these different sources. And so next up, we want to go onto my personal brand website and tie that together as well. So that's something called Person Schema, where, again, it's using schema.org, where basically this is a language that Google understands, basically. And it's basically code that says this person is the same as this person, this person, this person, this person. This whole footprint across the internet, let's tie it all together. Now, I can't code schema, ChatGPT can really well. So my knowledge panel actually triggered without me doing this. So I wouldn't say the step is essential. Wikidata, I think, was enough. That's probably the most important step. But just to make it more secure and hopefully improve it, get more social media links in there, things like that, I recommend doing it anyway. It only takes 10 minutes. So I just said to ChatGPT, give me person schema for Stuart Vickers to go on my homepage so I can get a Google Knowledge Panel. So it came up with the basic template. That's not very useful. Then I just dumped in all these links. So Yahoo Finance, ODYS Global, Amazon.com, Crunchbase. So then it gave me the full schema. I just had to copy and paste that as a code block into the HTML of my website. It could be on your About page or it could be on your home page. I just put it on my home page, but it's up to you. And of course, I can always come back and edit this over time and expand that digital presence. Now you can see I've got a lot of PR links in here, like Yahoo Finance. That's a good extra step I recommend. And that's part of what I recommend with the book, actually. When you publish a book, that's a good notable event, which means you can probably get some publicity around it. So using Supply PR, I was able to distribute a press release which guaranteed placement on Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, Bloomberg, AP News, Globe Newswire. It's basically 250 websites. Now, the beautiful thing about this is our service is a SEO-based PR service. So a normal PR firm will blast out your press release, but that press release won't really have any SEO value to it. It'll just be a few quotes and some talk about what you've done. Whereas an SEO PR service, what you want to do is actually make sure your press release is already SEO optimized. So again, with this PR, I'm trying to rank for SEO speaker and SEO for coaches. This is going to get a bit complicated, but let me see if I can break it down. So just an example, Globe Newswire is a really powerful website. A bit like that Outlook India example I showed you, it's around a DR90. So if you took just a basic blog post that was fully optimized in the right way, if you see below, I've got a link to my correlational SEO software, which basically looks at your top 10 competitors for your keyword and gives you a recipe based on all the best practices that are working for them. So if you wrote a blog post with that tool, so you had basically the best article on the internet for that topic, and then published it on a high DR site, whether it's Outlook India, Globe Newswire, any other major newspaper, that blog post is going to rank really, really well and very quickly. So if you're doing a press release, most people don't realize this. When doing a press release, make sure you optimize it with a correlational tool and get your keywords in there. Not only is this potentially going to bring you traffic because that press release is going to end up ranking on all these different websites, but also you have what's called the contextual relevance of the links. So when you get published with this, what is effectively a guest post, it's not a guest post. A press release has to have a certain format in order to get approved by the newsrooms. But you'll have all these, what's basically guest posts all around the internet on 250 powerful news websites, and they're all linking back to your links. Then the paragraphs around those links are going to add credibility to those backlinks. So, as you hopefully know from my other videos, Google works in two ways. It's the quality and relevance of your content. Are you targeting the right search keywords? And are you writing the content in the right way? Are you using a correlational tool that looks at the top 10 of Google, finds out exactly what's working for them, and gives you a recipe based on those best practices that are currently working in Google? But then it's all about backlinks. Once you've got all these pages around the internet, how does Google decide which page should go higher up or not? And it all comes down to backlinks. So you want good quality links on powerful news websites, all linking back into your content. And a press release is one of the easiest, cheapest ways to do that early on. Now, you can't do a press release every day, but if you have a notable event, like you're publishing a book, then that's a great opportunity to launch a press release. So going back to that idea of contextual relevance, if you've got links coming into, in my case, I'm trying to rank for SEO for coaches. So my press release has a paragraph about SEO for coaches. And we can see that the anchor text of the link that goes back to my site is SEO for coaches and SEO speaker. Again, the keywords I'm trying to target. So not only are these press releases looking great, giving me great logos to go on branding my homepage, but also it's getting me links on 250 really powerful news websites that all link back to my brand with targeted anchor text telling Google, this guy's an SEO speaker, he is the SEO for coaches, you should rank him for those terms. So this is how you get extra mileage out of PR that most people forget about. They think press release, it's just something new and noteworthy. Hopefully some journalists will pick it up. No, you want guaranteed placement on really powerful websites like Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, like this one does. And then as part of that process, you want to SEO optimize your press release so that you get benefit both for ranking the press releases for your target terms, dominating your market, and getting backlinks into your own website. Now I can already see the wall that's going to go on in the comment section. These will all be no-follow backlinks, or at least most of them on news sites will be no-follow backlinks. I really don't care. You're getting 250 links on high-quality news sites, so even no-follow links are still going to have some power. Most major newspapers have now no-followed all their external links, but I would still take a link from the BBC tomorrow if it were an offer. Same thing with Guardian, New York Times, all of those big media brands. So Google has got no choice but to at least give some credibility to no-follow links. So I'm not going to say no if they're from a major newspaper. So all of these links have gone into my Wikidata profile and my person schema within ChatGPT. And then it's simply a waiting game, like with a lot of SEO. You've fulfilled all the right steps, and it takes a good few months to actually get that knowledge panel to trigger. And like I say, in my case, it just came up as a very basic one on mobile before it became a really good one on desktop and mobile, probably about 3 weeks later. But I think I waited about 4 months in the end. Let me just check that. Okay, so my book launch, my PR, and my Wikidata profile were all completed at the end of May. Now, I think I started seeing my knowledge panel popping up around July, August time. Yes, here we go. So it was on the 8th of August that I realized I was coming up on mobile. So it's about 2.5 months for my knowledge panel to trigger. But what if you waited a few months and you're still not triggering that knowledge panel, even though you've done some PR, you've done your ebook, you're on Crunchbase, you've done the person schema, and you've done Wikidata? Now, how do we get an IMDb link? We go to kickstarter.com. I'm going out on a limb here because, like I said, I didn't need to do this, so I haven't actually tested this yet. But lots of directors of small film projects will raise on Kickstarter, and often one of the perks they'll offer is some sort of executive producer credit, which will include an IMDb link. So you can generally back these projects for about $50 or so. If I search IMDb on Kickstarter, does that give me anything? Here we go. So let me just shrink the loom down a bit. 40-minute student comedy film, help us get seen. This one, we can even see it straight on the Kickstarter search result. Invest in this crime thriller and get an official credit on IMDb as an executive producer. So how much is that going to be? Okay, $200, an actual executive producer credit. Now, to me, that actually seems a bit expensive. I was thinking more around the $50 to $100 mark, but $200, get it done. If you search your name and it comes up saying you're an executive producer on some niche film project, I think that's good fun. I quite like that. And it means that your knowledge panel could potentially also get that IMDb icon in the corner. And crucially, it'll be a major, if you do that as well as the Crunchbase and the Amazon book, it's extremely likely you're going to trigger that knowledge panel. So this is one example. The only issue I found with this, I was backing a project actually to get an IMDb link, but it didn't raise the full amount. So it's a little bit clunky. Maybe you want to try and pledge for a few. Why not support the arts and then increase your chances of maybe even getting multiple producer credits. Special thanks credit on IMDb. That's not like a producer link. The $35 IMDb challenge. Our first priority was to get the IMDb page in order. Get your name on IMDb. Okay, this is more like it. Solo sci-fi short film. Me being me, I'd probably be tempted to go and find some crazy niche independent film that will make me laugh when I see I'm an executive producer on it. Credit and poster. Associate producer, £100. That's more like it. All previous perks and your name appearing as associate producer on the credits and an IMDb solo page. That is what you want. £100. I'd pay £100 for a knowledge panel. That's no problem at all. So thank you for listening. You made it to the end, which is why I was able to give you that IMDb little golden nugget. I've only recently discovered that one, so I'm quite proud of that. I was saving that for the end for you lucky few who've actually stuck around and listened to me ramble on about this for nearly half an hour now. So thank you for watching. Subscribe below. I'm going to be doing lots more personal branding videos. This all basically comes down to an interesting year when I think about it. When I first started my agency, there were a few times when I was making these trips to go to events, and basically I was feeling quite skint. And so I got on the phone, started going through my network, and basically seeing who could actually refer me clients in return for a commission. And I had a really good lead, and it was all looking really good. Perfect niche, would have been a great link building client. They were in real estate. That always works really well. I've had a few real estate clients who've got fantastic results from my link building service. But then they came back to me and they said, we're going to go with Matt Diggity of Authority Builders. I've got nothing against Matt Diggity. He's a friend. But because of the personal branding, I've been in the situation of, I don't like how agencies operate. I am just going to get you results. I'm not going to bother building a brand. That email was the moment I realized, actually, you do kind of need to build a bit of a brand. So very frustrating. At the time, I was stuck in the airport in Bogota because I didn't have an ESTA, idiot, the transit visa for the US. So that was just another nail in the coffin. I'd slept overnight in the airport, just had to buy another ticket to get home. And then I found this hot lead that was going to save me. Said, no, I'm going to go with the other guy because he's got more of a presence on the internet. So building a presence on the internet is valuable. Suddenly, a year later, I've got, well, both friends back home and business contacts, all sorts of people reaching out saying, what, are you like multi-millionaire, best-selling author, all of these now? And it's all because I've been slowly building up this personal brand over time. For me personally, as SEO geek, the knowledge panel was probably the ultimate icing on the cake there. But there have been loads of little projects I've been working on in the background. I even signed up for a lead magnet on a Facebook ad the other day. for some sort of SEO agency training, basically. And the guy called me up and he basically said, "Why have you filled in my form? It's great to talk with you, but I've been looking into you, and it seems like you're really established and really smashing it." And this was not the case a year ago. A year ago, people had never heard of me. So, yeah, I turned my head at, and rolled my eyes at building a personal brand. But over time, it's come with some enormous benefits. So I'm going to share all of these with you on my YouTube channel. It's not my primary business, so I think it'd be a huge help for a lot of people. So that's knowledge panels, best-selling author status on Amazon, PR, and of course your SEO presence. So hit subscribe below. Any questions, leave me a comment. At the moment, I am trying to get back to every comment, not the abusive ones, just the actually seeking advice ones. Thanks for listening.